So one question I get all the time is, should I use Astro or Nextjs? So in this video, I'm hoping I can answer that question. Keep in mind this is subjective, so please don't hate on me too much in the comments if you disagree. So Astro ships a multi-page application. That's more like your traditional website, something you'd get with WordPress or Wix, something like that. Every time you click on an A tag and go to a different page, you're doing another HTTP request. With Nextjs, everything is client-side routed. So it means that all the pages are already prefetched for you, essentially, and it gives you the same experience that you would have with a regular React app using Create React app and the React router. That is obviously very good. However, the thing is the bundle size is massive. So when you ship your Nextjs site to whoever is coming to your site, you may end up finding that the initial load time, if you have a whole ton of JavaScript, could end up being really slow. What can be a bit of a problem for things such as paid advertising. So in my case, if I created a site with Nextjs, this is something I'm actually dealing with a client right now. I created their site using Nextjs a while ago, but they wanted new landing pages for their PPC campaign. So I created those pages using Astro just so that I can ship the most minimal amount of JavaScript, and that will result in a higher conversion rate, generally speaking. Some of the other differences are frameworks. So with something like Nextjs, you can only use React, but with Astro, you can use Vue, Svelte. Actually, let me look up all the frameworks you can use. So if you look here, these are all the frameworks that you can use. What's pretty awesome. You can mix and match if you have somebody on your team that maybe, for example, isn't very good with React and they prefer Vue. This will make it a whole lot easier. You can use them, build your components separately. Very, very beneficial. That's one thing that Astro has that Nextjs will most likely never have. Okay, when it comes to rendering, Nextjs offers a whole lot more than Astro. Nextjs, for example, you can do server-side rendering, SSR, ISR, what is incremental static regeneration, or you can just ship static pages. So you have all that functionality right out of the box. With Astro, they're very focused on static pages. So that means that if you have a blog and maybe a headless content management system behind it, it means you're going to have to either use a server-side rendering plug from Vercel, Netlify, one of these other hosting providers, or you're going to have to use webhooks to your server to trigger a rebuild, which is kind of annoying and it can be a bit of a pain to figure out. With Nextjs, so that's not a problem. You can incrementally regenerate your pages. You can make them regenerate once a day, whatever you want, and that makes it very, very easy to create basically whatever you want. How you can look at a lot of these things, what you'll notice is Astro is just generally a lot simpler. Everything's kind of, you have to opt in to complexity. With Nextjs, you're kind of getting everything right out of the gate. So one thing that's often not talked about, but is very important, is community support. If you get in a jam and you can't figure something out in your project, if you're like me, you're probably going on Google and just typing in the error code and hoping somebody else has had the same problem. You're more likely to find help with that using Nextjs. Nextjs is a much more mature framework. Astro is still pretty new, so if you're having problems, it's going to be a lot easier with finding a solution using Nextjs, generally speaking. Okay, now to answer the question of what framework you should use. So if I'm building a full stack application and I need a full backend, I need authentication, API routes, things like that, I'm using Nextjs. However, if I'm just building a simple site for maybe a marketing campaign or a simple blog site for a small business, maybe a dentist office, something like that, where they don't need very much, I'm going to use Astro just because I can move way faster and the initial page load will be a little bit better. So yeah, that's my basic opinion on the matter. Keep in mind though, even though Astro, you kind of have to opt in to get a lot of the features that Nextjs has, you can still do it. I can't imagine there are going to be too many use cases where you're going to start building something with Astro and it's going to completely ruin your project because you need to add some kind of feature and you're going to have to rebuild it with Nextjs. I just can't see a reality where that's really going to happen. But yeah, that's all. Let me know what you think. Leave your opinion in the comments. That's just my opinion, so please don't rip me up in the comments too much. Yeah, so have a good one.